Greetings, folks, and welcome back to another quick wet shaving tip, trick, and hack with your pal Douglas Smythe from PhoenixShaving.com. How's everyone doing today? That intro is getting longer and longer, I think. But today, we have a little project we're going to do. We're going to be learning how to be setting a knot in a wooden handle. Sounds and seems simple enough, but there are a few tips that I've learned along the way after doing hundreds of these that I'd like to share with you. And it seems like more and more folks are selling just knots and handles these days, and people are setting them themselves. So I respect that. Kudos to you. Now here's how I do it. I use a two-part epoxy. Doesn't really matter on the brand. I haven't found yet that it does, except Gorilla. Stay away from Gorilla glue. You don't want that stuff. You don't want any glue that's going to expand as it dries. I use a two-part epoxy, as I mentioned. I've used the black color. I've used the clear coat. This is by Loctite, and this seems to work really well. So let's open this bad boy up off camera. Having a Larry David moment here trying to open this up. Okay, now one thing to notice that I'm seeing right now is a lot of times they will have like a little stirrer that you tear off, and you can use it to stir up the two parts of the epoxy when you're using that. This one I don't see it on, which stinks. First thing I do is I take off this plastic wrap, this label. It's of no use to me. Pop out this. See, this one instead has a cover that you would use after the fact. So stay right here for a second as I look for something to stir this with myself. Okay, for the sake of this video, I'm going to be sacrificing this tiny screwdriver. Okay, so first things first, we need to snip off these tips here. Now you have options of how wide you want it to be. I always choose either the smallest or the medium to smallest. And another thing I do is, I guess this would be called a hammer, like on a needle. You see both of them are attached because in theory that's going to give you equal amounts of glue, but if you notice inside here these air bubbles, they tend to screw stuff up, so it's never equal parts when using the hammer attached like that. So what I do is I snip right through that so I can actually control equal parts, so with these separated. Now what I do is I figure out where I want to set the knot. How deep do I want to put it in there? Because you don't need to put it as deep as the handle goes. And then I add the first part, and then the second part, I don't know if you can see that, right next to it, and I eye it. That looks equal to me. Then I do it on the other side as well. And typically if I was setting this at the bottom, the very bottom of this handle, I wouldn't use this much glue. So there's another glue bump. Okay, and that's equal parts. I recommend a toothpick or the stirrers that come with these. However, I don't have one. And with the toothpick or the plastic stirrer, you just blend it all together. And then you start coating the side. With the glue. You could even put some packing material at the bottom of this if you wanted to set it a little higher. But I'm going to rely on the bloom of this brush to hold itself in place. And I'm going to set this about probably 15 millimeters as opposed to 30 is what this looks like deep. Okay. That looks good. Then I'll take the knot and whoops, right in there. And again, I mentioned that I'm using a clear two-part epoxy. If you choose to use a white or a black or a wood grain color one, those are a little bit thicker due to the fixatives, and the color in there. So yeah, so you'll be able to really play around with this knot, and it'll make more contact with the knot. But this is in there pretty good, and then I would just leave it like that to dry. Another note on glues is you'll read a lot in the forums where people give advice about using marine glue, 2-part marine epoxy, which isn't necessarily true. And I understand the thinking behind that. They think that it's marine, so it's going to hold up to the water and so on and so forth. But marine glue is really marine glue to be set in the water, so you can set parts together like on your boat that are already underwater. It'll set underwater and dry. That's the idea with marine glue. So I hope you've learned a lot today. This has been another quick wet shaving tip, trick, and hack from your pal Douglas Smythe here at phoenixshaving.com. If you enjoyed today's video or have any other tips you'd like to add to it, please leave them in the comments below. And then you always have the option of subscribing to the channel and never miss out on a quick tip, trick, or hack again. Until next time, people, shave on.